cannabis companies in receivership, is it a good opportunity or is it a steep risk? So the current state of cannabis industry, even more so in established markets, folks are running out of money. We've covered a number of large names over the last couple months here on High at Nine News that are of folks that are heading into receivership and after not being able to pay their bills. One of the most prominent names we've talked about recently was herbal distribution. And though receivership's a common term in mainstream corporate America, it's fairly new to cannabis. So today we'll be talking about what it means, when and why a company goes into receivership. According to GMR's Gordon Satro, when a cannabis company goes into receivership, it's usually because the company is facing financial distress or has defaulted on debts. So now a third party appointed by a court or a creditor, the receiver, takes control of the company's assets, operations, and finances. The receiver's primary role is to manage the company's affairs in a way that benefits the creditors or stakeholders involved. They might sell off assets, or they might restructure the business, or take other actions to recover funds owed to creditors. Receivership is often seen as a step towards rehabilitating a company or winding it down to pay off debts. Most likely in cannabis, it's probably winding off to pay off debts, unless it's a big name. Herbal might see a resurgence. Chances are it will not. It's a legal process that aims to protect the interests of creditors or stakeholders while addressing financial issues that the company is facing. So when they actually have choices when they get in there, and a line of order of the processes too. The first line of order is debt resolution, addressing companies' debts. Then they go into evaluation and strategy. So before implementing certain changes, the receiver conducts a thorough assessment of the company's financial health, operations, market position, potential for recovery, and so on and so forth. Per the article, receivership aims to protect creditors' interests by attempting to secure funds owed to them, and primary focus is satisfying the claims of secured and unsecured creditors other than maximizing shareholder value. So scrolling down, there's a lot of good information in here, but I want to go down to the actual questions here. Is it, when you were talking about cannabis, is this a good opportunity, or should you stay the hell away from cannabis companies in receivership? The key considerations there are, when you're acquiring a distressed company, it carries inherent risks. These could be substantial liabilities, facing operational challenges, encountering resistance from employees, suppliers, customers due to the company's troubled status. Thorough due diligence is essential. And you need to make sure that you're going through the financial health, liabilities, legal issues. Is it actually worth you taking over said company? If you're in a position like Planet 13 and you're just going shopping for assets, it's more of a real estate play. And I want to make sure I ask Yarrow his thoughts on this one too. Would you go into these companies or not? But having a broker that first represents the pitfalls and the opportunities, so you can really weigh out the risk versus the reward in these, is key to moving forward. But as we enter Q1 of 2024, we're seeing a lot of new faces in the industry, and a lot of them are behind a lot of known names. And generally that is because folks are coming in and buying companies pennies on the dollar right now. So my question to everybody is, if you're seeing a lot of these, I don't know, these beat down distressed assets, especially if you are in a more saturated market like California, Washington, or Colorado, would you guys pick up a dispensary on the cheap and roll with it as of right now? So I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High at Nine News. I would love to hear from the rest of the team on this. If you have $500 grand to $1 million, are you dropping that on a retailer right now where we are? Is the risk enough for you?
So I'll take a stab at this. First of all, dopest dad on the orange. First of all, it's dopest dad on the orange street, not the red street, just so you know. The first receivership that I saw was the sale of the Guild dispensary in San Jose back in 2019. So this has been a common method for divesting of cannabis assets for a while. I think we see an uptick in this because of the market maturation and price compression and margin decline. I think, and I was just talking yesterday to the people who did the receivership sale for the herbal assets. They've sold everything but for the lawsuit and a couple of the other components of that business. So I don't see that business coming back. They haven't sold the tech. They haven't sold the pending lawsuits. They've sold everything else. I think receiverships bring with them a certain measure of safety and security in that you have an independent third party who is facilitating that transaction. I think that there's opportunity to buy the dip. If I had between $500,000 and $1 million, I don't know that buying a dispensary in a mature market is where I would put my resources. I do think that I have personally been focused on newer adult use markets and specifically retail in those adult use markets for the last 3 years. And so I've been focused on that frothy exuberance that exists for at least a number of years as these new adult use markets come online. And in mature markets, buyers need to be aware that they're not catching a falling knife. Doesn't matter what you pay for something. It matters what you pay compared with what it's currently worth and whether it's going up or going down. So I think that the receivership process will continue to see play out, specifically because there's this inability for these companies to file bankruptcy. And I don't know that that's where I would put my money. I think because of my position in the industry, I would rather be involved in companies that are pre-seed round, where you get a lot of value for the money you deploy, and where you can pick winners and losers before they're winners or losers. But that's a different position. That's because of who I know, what I know, and where I'm at. And I think investors and capital partners need to understand not just the opportunity, but the limitations of what they should be doing based on their knowledge and their sphere of influence. And sort of, I would never go in sight unseen. So I think some of these dispensaries, there's roll-up plays, hold on, and that's exciting.
Yaro,
are you seeing like a used car market? Is this like seeing like you're buying a brand new car versus if you're going in for one of these fire sales and getting a dispensary for pennies on the dollar? You got to deal with somebody else's boogers under the seat, right?
That's no, bro. You guys got this all. You guys got this all twisted. You guys got this all twisted.
Okay.
All so twisted, bro. You guys should be pretzels or maybe playing Twister or something. You guys got it so twisted.
You mean twisted like a joint?
Or that's a whole nother twist too. You know what I mean?
Like a joint.
But here's the reality.
How do you see it, Jason?
Here's the reality of it. If you are someone with buttloads of money and you're just looking to acquire assets, and you have significant funding to do a whole remarketing, rebranding, and whatnot, then these types of assets I think would be extremely attractive, because when you purchase an asset out of receivership, it has absolutely zero debt. It's basically a brand new corporation with all of the infrastructure, pre-existing infrastructure in place. So that can be extremely
a shell of what it used to be.
It doesn't matter. Well, first of all, the person that's buying it isn't worried about what it used to be. They're worried about what they can turn it into. And that should be the focus of it, not necessarily what it was and what it did do, because otherwise you'd be living in the past and not the future.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
I'll also say one thing, that it's like, well, the present's a gift, Rico. The present's a gift. And right now, the gift is you can get into a business in a $3+ billion market that you're going to have the opportunity to actually make salespeople, because that's still where you have to make sales. Yes, there's delivery. Yes, there's other kinds of businesses like lounges and stuff like that that are reemerging, but like the retail is still where the cannabis gets sold. This is still a big market. It's not the worst opportunity. I think that there's a difference between the opportunities in other markets and other states that are emerging, and I think that's where a lot of focus is. Traditionally, I've been on that end as well, and so I think that there's prioritization in in these assets that are available because of some of the markets that mature or immature. It's like if there's potential in a market and people are leaving that, it's something to look at. I agree with Yaro. Other markets are exciting, and it's a good place to to stack your chips. But if you're trying to be in this business for another decade and you've already been in it for a decade, then you need to continue the brand and that continuity of your brand and potentially a retail brand. It means some serious expansion dollars in a place like California. But if you could add on to your already existing business model or bolt on to your already existing business model, it makes a lot of sense. So, don't count out the California retailers just yet, everybody, because we're here. We're California is still the market, and it'll continue.
That's a good way to go.
The timing is right.
Hold on.
The timing is right for folks to get in right now rather than
I mean,
later on.
It's not a matter of timing. It's a matter of the resources that they have. And
That's right.
It's both.
No, it's not. Has nothing to do with timing. No,
because the pricing is going to swing wildly.
The prices aren't going to swing wildly, bro. These and I don't understand where you come up with this $500,000 or $1 million for these things. Okay, when you're in receivership, it's a bidding. If you have like
$500,000, you got $1 million burning a hole in your pocket.
It's a bidding. You can get a dispensary in receivership for way less than that, Rico. You don't have to have a $500,000.
But this is what I'm saying. If you have the funds and you were looking to get into the market, is now a good time? That's my question. Is now?
Well,
a good time?
You're asking two totally different questions, and then you were baiting with one question, and now you're asking a totally different question.
Why are you being so critical of your co-host? I mean, it's one thing to the color of his hat, but you woke up on the grumpy bear side of bed today.
Not even close.
Right.
Can you guys swap out his coffee with some chamomile tea so we can have a kumbaya? Okay. It's running away right now.
Yarrow, it's because his secret front runner in the political race is dropped out. Vivek is done. Vivek is gone.
I don't know what you're talking about. Ain't no one worried about that, bro. Trump took first place in the Iowa caucus last night. Ain't nobody worried about nothing that you're talking about.
There to begin with. Vivek was a hanging Chad, right? So I think I don't want to talk over Todd because Todd was going to say something. But I think there is one thing I would like to add before we segue to this esteemed colleague, which is that I don't think as much about the acquisition cost of the asset so much as I think about, do I have the team in place after the acquisition of that asset to turn that asset around and to maximize the value. So to me, I care less about the cost of a dispensary in distress than I do about, do I have the people, the people capital to run that business the way it deserves to be run in this market and to really optimize, because you can talk square footage, you can talk parking spaces, you can talk number of lights, you can talk genetics, but if you don't have the people, if you don't have the culture of accountability and productivity, and you don't have a very deep bench of folks you can trust, then it doesn't really matter what you pay.
Yeah, not only do you need the people, but you need the capital. It's not just the initial purchase of this received building, but you need the capital to be able to run it successfully, which the person right before you has just failed. I've dealt with several companies here in Nevada who went into receivership and owed me lots of money. Oh, from the debtor standpoint, it sucks because you don't get any money because they always claim, well, we have to pay for this, we have to pay for that, and you're in a long line of people waiting to get 10 cents on every dollar that you're promised, but it never comes because they claim like they don't have the money to do that. And as the receiver, you have to be way more funded than just your initial $500,000 $1 million to buy the deal, because you have to maintain and you have to break down the vendors that you've just screwed over.
No, you don't.
Right? How do you do business with them again?
You don't have to do because you're a brand new corporation. You can start fresh with all of them. That's how it works.
You can start fresh with all of them, but me as a vendor,
here's the thing.
Here's the thing. In to do business.
Vendors are in the
new guy.
Vendors are in the business of selling product, and if they have to cut their losses in order to spite their face, they are generally willing to do that.
Bro, I've cut tons of losses to spite my face.
See?
Right.
See what I'm saying? And with no scalpel. With no scalpel, Todd.
Yeah, with no scalpel. That's right.
No lube.
I don't want to really do business with somebody who takes over and then doesn't pay their bill.
Well, they're not. That's my point, is if they buy it, they have no bill.
They have the bill. They have the debt.
No. When you buy a business out of receivership, there is zero debt, bro. There is no debt associated with that business. You have a brand new business. There is zero debt associated with that.
It's a clean slate.
As we said in the article, the receiver is their job to handle all of the debt, make sure everything is settled. and queue it up either to be rehabilitated or to be sold off.
Exactly.
On the share.
Exactly.
It's a good. I thought it was a good conversation to have. We had a great debate with it, and even though Jason wants to dance around easy questions there,
I didn't dance around anything. My whole thing
was like, yo, if you had the money to do it, would you buy a distressed asset in a saturated market?
100% is my answer. 100% I would. 100%. And also, too, if you need some tricks in receivership, I happen to know a few on how you can be first right of receiver in the receivership. So just holler at me. Let me know if you're in the market.
All right, Jason, he'll teach you how to turn those tricks.
Yeah,
the government just allows for bankruptcy, then there wouldn't be an issue.
You're right on that.
Guys go bankrupt.
But we're so far.
Well, they do allow for it. They do allow for it.
Hold on. We got to go to a commercial. We're going to be back. We got to go to a commercial. We're going to be back, you guys.